Yeah, it just you got to soak that in,
So The
just
Expanse
let it
is a
sit.
worthwhile bout of ultraviolence.
No, no, I would not use that to describe that at all. I would use that as a warning for the ultra squeamish.
I th-
That it's like if you can't do it at all, right? Then like another, I once upon a time probably still popular show that I don't watch anymore is like Walking Dead, right? Walking Dead way more violent than The Expanse in general gore and you know just like episodic violence in my opinion, right? The Expanse has it and you need to know that. You can't go into The Expanse thinking it's going to be Star Trek or Firefly, right? That's the problem, right? You got to somehow differentiate that. So
I love that show so much, and I'm still hopeful that we'll get the time skip sequel
for the
rest of the
Expanse.
books. Yeah.
I'm not going to hold my breath, but I would love it, So because I'm not going to hold my breath, I went and read the synopsis.
Took so long to convince you to watch it, I think, actually.
It might have been just one of those that it's like I don't really had time for, and that's why, I was finally out on my own doing nothing after work. So I watched it and then I was like, great, now I've got to wait, and it took me 3 or 4 years to finish the rest of the story. So thanks for that.
I think me and Alex both pressured into that one. I'm just going to throw her under the bus.
No, I was the last one pressured into this.
You were? Was it me and Justin who pressured you?
Yes, no, you guys were ganging up on me.
Didn't we switch Dark? Wasn't that the trade we made? Like you had to watch Expanse,
make a trade.
And I had
actually, no, I was just saying you should watch it. You should watch it, and then like the same thing was like, okay, fine, I'm bored enough, I'll try it. And like 20 minutes in, it's like I said to my husband, like, you have to watch this with me. This is something you'll like.
And then you're just complaining about the fact that you don't speak German earlier, and now you're talking about Dark again.
Well, yeah, but it was subtitled. It's fine. You can't subtitle a reanimated Albert Einstein. Okay,
he could subtitle himself. He's that smart.
Like, well, maybe, but that's why we resurrected him. But maybe my phone can do the live universal translation thing, and it'll work out. But
you start Google translating him, and he goes, "Nine, what are you doing?"
Like, I knew you could speak English. So.
All I had to do was point this weird calculator at you.
See, this is why we do while we weren't recording, so you guys can have this out of context conversation we had before the show.
Listen, we're just setting up Justin's D&D campaigns later. That's his problem.
Yeah, my party's already got a Bob, so they don't need a reanimated Albert Einstein. I feel like that'd be like doubling up. So,
What if he was your guy in the chair? And in this case, it'll be in the tavern, I guess.
The guy in the tavern.
Yeah. Give me some more ideas about what to do with mimics, and we're in. So my party has finally figured out that's what they're up against. And it's only finally started to settle in that they're like, oh, wait, this is awful. This is not good. And it's like, yes, I've been holding back, I even threw in some, I wouldn't even call it foreshadowing. They basically walked into a mimic tavern where everything inside was a mimic. And, including the tables and the chairs and the coins and suits of armor and everything. It was basically like a mimic training ground for like how to turn into like everything. And they still didn't get it until like 3 or 4 months later. And they're like, wait a minute, all of those things. I'm like, yeah, now put on your helmet. Like you don't
As
even
it eats you.
We haven't even started yet. And part of the problem is like, I'm not sure at this point how I can still like inch it forward without just like dominoing the entire thing. Like I'm trying to pull back like the scale and number and give them some additional weakness or something like on the mimic side, because like they figured out that they were vulnerable to fire, which means that now they're no longer vulnerable to fire, because part of the idea that I had with this campaign is that they're going to be evolving over time. And so the party has now taught them that fire is bad, and if they continue to try to use fire, they will get resistances to it, so it's like I'm doing stuff like that, but it's like they haven't been picking up enough of the clues, so stuff is still happening, because that's one of the things that I like to try to do as a DM is like, just because you were an idiot and you went left instead of right doesn't mean that whatever was down the right hand path didn't happen. you know? And so that's what they did. And so like the right hand stuff is still happening. And so it's like, because they're in Eberron, they just got out of 100 Years' War. The mimics are starting to like line people up like soldiers and pretend to invade the other country to kick off the war again, you know, type of stuff. And like there's a fort that is going to get taken down because they're going to have soldiers show up outside the gate and everyone's going to go like to arms, and they're all going to go run and grab all their armor and their helmets and their swords and stuff that are mimics, you know? So it's like, yeah, no.
Oh, that's just rude.
You don't know yet. So, and of course, like, I'm pretty confident none of them are watching, but you know, most of that's already happened. So, you know,
it sounds a little bit like the Mimic Tavern thing. It sounds a little bit like the premise of that video game Prey. Have you ever heard of this?
Oh yeah, Prey's like one of my favorite. You know,
okay.
Like not big.
So it's a deliberate inspiration kind of thing.
Yeah, I think Prey was kind of the thing that tipped me over, that I was like, oh, I would love to do a Mimic Invasion D&D campaign, you know, and I started evolving it, and where it finally clicked and gelled and I decided what I wanted to do, even though I didn't stick with the premise, was what I wanted to do is I wanted to take an existing world, an existing set, and then twist it. And so I was going to have them start out with like Rise of Tiamat or something that almost everybody's played or heard of, right? And when they got to the first villain, the mimics got him, you know, and it's like, wait, what the shit was that? That's not in the book. You know, I wanted to pull one over on my more experienced players. And so instead I put them in Eberron because the world is also already done. I know a ton about Eberron, and we'd never played Eberron. So a bunch of them have heard about it, but they've never lived it, you know? And so I wanted to try and bring that out because it's like my favorite campaign setting. So, but
I'm horrible with campaign settings. I only ever know Forgotten Realms because I was a big Baldur's Gate fan back in the day. 1 and 2, the OGs, really 1 more than 2. So what's the whole premise of Eberron? Is it one of those blended horror fantasy settings?
No, it's Magitech. You know, it's
okay. I don't know.
Yeah, technology exists. Yeah, technology exists, but it's all magic, right? So they have a train that runs on lightning, and they have airships that are powered by elementals, and you know.
Okay. So it's not like an Arcanum where they're at odds. They're really in harmony with each other.
Correct. Yeah. And like, you know, you can lean into kind of more steampunky elements, even though, you know, it's not coal based anyway, right? You know, like if there is steam power in Eberron, it's because they harnessed a baby elemental, a fire elemental, and they use that. And so, like, when you go do what?
Slavery.
Oh, sure.
No, it's doing your chores,
so it's okay. And they're non-human entities, so does that word even apply? You know,
that's very on brand for steampunk and dieselpunk to have slavery analogs.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, I was going to talk more about it, but now I've got moral quandaries to deal with. So yeah, no, it's funny because it's like I have a ranger and a druid in my party, and yeah, they're not like your traditional type. So like the closest I got was they went to a place that I think was like a magical pet store, you know, but it was run by the mob. And so I wanted to see if they were going to like free all the animals. And that was long enough ago. I can't actually remember, but they definitely stopped to like talk to some of them and stuff like that. And that was pretty funny. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I liked it. You know, I spent a lot of time on a different continent because Dungeons and Dragons Online took place on Zendrick. And so it's like I got more like giants and drow and stuff like that I've experienced myself. But we're on the primary continent where everything's supposed to happen and kick off. And it's a lot of fun diving into the lore of the countries and stuff. And you know, trying to come up with new ways of be like, okay, I've got all this crazy magical know-how and I've got all this technology knowledge. Like, how do I blend them to give us something unique and to, you know, try and do something about it? But yeah. Should we do the thing?
So what you're saying is Santa would do very well in a steampunk universe because he's got coal ready to go.
I think he'd be at a handicap by needing a fuel source like that. So
he doesn't need a fuel source for his own sake because he's got the reindeers.
I was going to say he'd be like the Baron, you know, he'd be the coal baron.
but what do they need it for? Like what I was going to say earlier before the slavery comment was like every tavern theoretically has like a tiny bound elemental, you know, like running their kitchen, like running the, you know, the ovens and stuff like that. What do we need coal for? Like, oh, cool, you've got a burning rock. I can do that with my finger. It's called prestidigitation. Catch up, you know.
Well, when the elementals revolt.
See, again, that would be a story, you know.
Or people want to use coal so that they don't have to use slavery, and it's going to put all those elementals out of a job.
Oh, you turned the coal miners into like the hippies.
Yeah.
Sure. Poor Calcifer. Where's he going to get all his wood? You know.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that turnaround. That'd be great. Right. That'd be great. But what if you had both? Is it
go on?
A bit too spicy? I don't know. Like you had both. You had there's some benefit they get out of this kind of work, but there's still adverse conditions. I don't know. Unionized elementals.
So we're talking about Victorian England. Really
a lot of times, political analogs. It's not that they're bad. It's just that they're not fun. They become they can get real preachy. So I guess you just have to be careful with that.
I mean, unionized.
They're not fun, and they usually don't do anything new with it. You know, so it's just like
with an industrial revolution steampunk setting that was also like having struggles with like workers' rights. Like, yeah, if somebody is clever enough to put in a lot of work for that, that would be really interesting. I'd read that book.
Right.
Certainly ain't gonna write it though.
Make it Dickensian.
It becomes like a steampunk North and South. Have you ever seen that show North and South?
Yeah. My mom used loved that, so I vicariously ended up watching pretty much all of it as like a kid teenager.
It's a pretty good show, but it's definitely one of those where it's telling both sides of the Industrial Revolution and the exploitation of these big loom workers, these cotton mill workers, where the industrialist is sympathetic, but also the workers are sympathetic. And it was written at the time, so it can be fun, but it can also be a bit over the top, where a little bit, maybe some characters are more sympathetic than they should be, but you know, it's hard to tell what the right call would be and what the right balance is on something like that. You don't want to become an ideologue, then just either estrange your audience or it just becomes kind of rote preaching to the choir, not actually a fun, immersive experience, which is the whole point of these role playing.
Right. You got to always keep in mind it's about the fun, you know, and that sort of thing. And I mean, like I could see incorporating some of that stuff as a subplot for one of the characters, you know, right? Rather than that being like the entire campaign. I mean, if you want that to be your entire campaign, go nuts. It's your idea. It's supposed to be a joint story, right? You know, so you just got to talk to your table, you know, and just kind of read the room, because it's like if you're doing something that they're not having fun with, your game's not going to last. You know, maybe they'll be polite and they'll just make excuses to stop coming or something like that, you know, but
same effect. Game is going to last.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think it would be interesting. I'm not sure how you could carry it a whole campaign. Like I'd play a one shot or, you know, a couple of sessions like that or something. But yeah, I
agree.
Yeah, I try to write mine 1 through 20s, and which is too much, right? You know, it's like we've been going for like 3 years, I think, you know, and we're like less than halfway through the campaign. And then it's like I've already got like, you know, hey, you guys, if you guys love this story and we're still alive by then, you know, I've already got what the epic campaign, at least the little brainchild kicking around and gestating and everything like that. I don't want it to go that long, and I don't think it will go that long, right? But you know, it's that, or they just get like fatally stupid at some point, which could happen soon. You know, and that's what I'm trying to be like. I've always maintained it is not difficult for the DM to win, right? The DM has all the cards. They've got the entire world against you if they wanted to, right? So my challenge is to make it a fight and to make it, you know, drama and whatever, and make you think that you were going to lose without that actually being a thing. Because it's like, what if I win, then everybody takes their ball and go home. That's not fun either, you know. Like great, it's a mimic invasion and all of your clothes are mimics and they ate you. Oh no, game over. So it's like, now that I've written myself into this corner, that's the part that I'm trying to be like, okay, how do we get out
if one of them has lucky underwear, you really should make that a mimic.
Right. No, what I've done is like, so one of the things that I wouldn't say is unique, but I've only found like 2 or 3 other like supporting instances where people had similar ideas, is that I basically took the idea of like there's a puppet master type of alien in the I can't remember the space setting. Anyway, Spellbinder or something. I don't know. My
Spelljammer.
Spelljammer.
Never played it, but I've heard of it.
So they've got an amorphous kind of creature that is like a puppet master in that. I gave those powers to regular mimics. So basically baby mimics start out with this kind of thing. And then what happens is that they latch on to you. And the first hook that I gave to my party is that they turn into a hat. Instead of just being hanging out on the back of your neck or whatever, they are a tiny little hat. And you're like, well, that's kind of odd, but you don't really think anything about it. And you just kind of move on until you realize, right?
Like Link in the Minish Cap. Sounds like that Zelda game.
Something like that. And so while it's there, basically it takes a week for them to devour you and fully replace you and everything like that. And then at that point,
very different.
Yeah, at that point they're a doppelganger, right? And so I've linked these 3 creatures together in a life cycle. And so now there are doppelgangers going around, and one of the things that I gave them is more of a kind of like not a genetic memory, but like a psychic memory. And so like whatever one learns, they all know, which is a very common trope for, these types of creatures and whatever. But because they've already mimicked you, that means any of them can do it, right? And 2 of the main characters have been mimicked. And so like what they're going to start doing is they're going to start running into their own doppelgangers and things like that. And, fight your face. And one of the guys has like PTSD I basically dropped it on him that the event that caused that from the end of the 100 Years' War and whatever was these mimics, like they're intertwined in any case. And so his people that he lost as part of this event are also copied, so he can run into their faces at any time and stuff like that. And it's like, that's a bummer for your character. I'm glad you don't have PTSD. Otherwise I'd be a dick doing this. Right. But torturing characters, that's okay.
That's fine.
That's what it's all about. Fourth wall.
Yeah, right. I just start working on this guy. So.
That's when you have a rampaging, all-powerful wizard that throws fireball, and then you take out a lighter and you light their character sheet on fire.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I see somebody's been playing since the old days. So
this is what we call analog.
Right. Yeah. The problem is the kids found out that wasn't very fun. And so they get around that by having like 5 character sheets for games like that. Right. So what's one of the guys at my table plays a weekly game like that. I can't remember the name of the system, but he's like, if you make it to level 4, you're doing really good. And so they literally have a party of like everybody is playing 5 characters, because you're going to lose like 2 or 3 of them in the first session. It's like, holy crap,
that sounds exhausting.
Yeah. Like, I played Call of Cthulhu and that could be pretty brutal, right? If you weren't especially careful and stuff like that. But yeah, that's, that gets me out of the role-playing mind space because, I can't spend all this time coming up with a character who's just going to get eaten, immediately. So,
well, I think that's when you have presets or you have character archetypes, or what you really want with something like this. I'm talking about a CRPG perspective. You want something like a Planescape Torment thing where there is death, but it's a reset button, and you don't actually die because you're immortal. If you're going to have that kind of thing, you want some kind of continuity. Have you played Planescape Torment? You know that story?
I don't. Yeah.
But basically the nut there is you're the nameless one, you're immortal, and you don't know why or how, and your memories are lost. So gotcha. There is death in the game, and when you die, you respawn at your last save point. But it's in universe diegetically, you haven't actually died because you're immortal. You just experience death over and over and over.
I believe the ultimate goal of the story is to kill yourself as your character, like to actually die.
Yeah,
as being immortal.
Yeah,
ironic.
Well, in the context of Planescape, it becomes like a rather than you kill yourself, you're in the planes of hell that you've been avoiding the whole time, fighting the eternal war of hell. So,
well,
it's Planescape, so there's not actually death. You just transfer between planes. That's not the part I really.
It's your connecting flight from Delta to Southwest.
Okay, in a manner of speaking.
Holiday travel humor.
He's got to make it relevant for the kids, so.
Yeah. Also, I guess we should probably open gifts at some point.
Yes, we should do the Santa Christmas thing.
Now, I admittedly forgot I was traveling, so I didn't take my gift. I did get my gift. I know what my gift is because I opened it by cheating. But what I'm going to do to make this easy, assuming this works, is that.
Yeah.
That's my gift. So thank you, Secret Santa, because it was the one I put first on my list,
Nice.
I think.
Oh, cool. I've got that book. Yeah.
Oh, well, and what's funny? I got this from my cousin down here where I came to this. Nice. Because she's very big into D&D over the last couple of years, getting into it and now running her own games. So,
Nice.
So now I have to make something for this. Now I have to compete with her and see which one of us can make the better dish.
And then you have to report back.
Right. Yeah, I haven't cooked anything out of it yet. So yeah, let me know how it goes.
Okay.
We had some friends get it for us last Christmas, actually, thinking about it. So
I should get that one.
Now, I don't know if I'm supposed to guess yet who had me. I know it wasn't Andreas because I didn't get any cookies.
It wasn't jammed into one of those tins.
and just as we have 5 people here rather than the 7 that were invited, this year is going to be a little bit of a shit show, just like everything that has happened this year. So there are going to be hiccups. But you may guess who attempted to do it.
Yeah. Let's see. The director and I can rule out 2 people at least. So,
well, I'm just trying to think of if everybody would have put my avatar name versus my actual name, which is on the list. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna guess it was. Fuck it, I'll say Ben.
Nope. Sorry.
Bummer.
I would have gone with Ben too, actually. So yeah.
I mean, I know who
I do like buying the D&D stuff for people who ask for it, but not me, alas.
Yeah.
Not
so I'm going with the director then, obviously, because her perplexed look, like it was so obviously her.
So. I like it. Well, you gave yourself away, Justin, that you didn't buy it because
you would have been. I was going to say you would have been my second guess because I know Justin can't play off. Oh, I had this too, and yet I sent it to you.
Right.
And again, we've established without the cookies, it couldn't possibly have been the Swedish one. Well, thank you.
I think that in our general pattern that puts me next, I did receive something. I received 2 things and followed the rules and didn't open them early.
Listen.
He likes to ruin Christmas.
Notebook. I'm a sucker for notebooks, so I always love them. Yay. And now I have more pretty ones.
I was going to say it's a pretty floral one instead of a marble one. You're such a girl.
I'm very girly, and now I have glitter pens to go with it.
Oh, those go well with your shirt too.
Exactly. And
that is very girly.
Pouch that is a cash. Very girly this year. That's great. Last year it was Bob the Skull. So switching themes here.
Did he have flowers on him too? I don't remember.
No, I suppose I could put flowers on him. He's sitting on my desk next to my pink speakers. And now that's because Justin's been silent, I'm thinking it's him.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
That's him.
Yeah. I forgot how to play the game, so I realized I was playing along with EG and I ruined his guess. So I ruined yours by playing the game, but yeah, no.
You've been too long in this mimic thing. You're screwing it up for everyone.
What I wanted to say is like, well, that couldn't have possibly been me because I got you a journal several years ago, so I know this about you that you like journals. But I was over here, poker face.
But it was such a bad poker face that I thought it was your word.
Yeah,
it was so obviously a poker face of just like giving things away.
You've given everything away.
And the slight smirk of, is that your final answer? I was like, it's sure, Justin.
Sorry, we are talking about DM. I'm in the DM headspace now.
Yeah,
so
man, he's a mimic. He's not even Justin.
Right.
Well, but I suppose my second guess would now actually be EG because he made the comment about being girly.
Aha. No.
All right.
Nice.
I use the context clues I use the context clues of my eyes and your shirt to say, "Hey, girly."
It was I. Yes, it was.
Can you restart your camera, Ben?
Yeah, I don't know if it's not working.
Yeah, I'm just talking like this now.
I was going to say, I think it's funnier if he's just frozen the whole time.
He's been playing those 20-year-old RPGs where the avatars didn't animate, right? So now he's just.
I was just talking about Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. Were they black and white actually? Those games?
No. Yeah, right. Oh. Yeah, right. Yeah. Come on.
But they did have as many as 16 pixels per sprite. Oh. So
Yeah, I got it for you because you said you wanted it. So that's that.
Okay.
Isn't that what the list is for?
Right.
Yeah, it is what the list is for, right? I think there was a lot of other like deaf stuff, and I was like, you know what? This other stuff seems a little bit more off-brand. I'm gonna get the stuff that's off-brand. And the girly stuff seemed a little bit more off-brand for you.
All right, proposal for next year, assuming we can make everyone get together and assume we're all going to get gifts, is whatever you put on your list, you're not getting. You just have to pick a random gift based on what you know about the person, though. Yeah, you can't just pick like soap.
Yeah, we make sure that everybody's address is correct, but then hard mode, you have to actually think of it yourself.
Yes, you have to get them a gift. They wouldn't have even thought for themselves.
Everybody got money. What a crazy coincidence.
No cheaping out with gift cards either. No, it's got to be a thing.
Minus Andreas, just because the whole...
Andreas isn't getting anything if I get him. We've established this last week because his address is impossible.
You got to have the Swedish chef say it, so...
I'm going to have it sent to the consulate and have him pick it up.
Okay, so playing the game here. So
Ben
playing the game, yeah.
No, I get that. I'll do it. I'm just trying to think. So Ben got you, and who got the book? You got the book for him. So
the director got the book for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pull an EG and get a picture of the thing that I got. Hang on.
Well, maybe if you get the item, maybe it'll unfreeze your camera.
Oh,
yeah, magically.
See, mine is just because I'm laying on a bed, and as sexy as that would be, it's not real.
Virtual background. No. The virtual background settings. How do you do
that? So you're down here where you're frozen. You see your name.
Audio. Yeah, seriously.
And you hit the little three dots, and then it says edit audio avatar.
Studio avatar.
Well, I guess you can do studio since you're technically on studio mode. But if you went to the offline mode, then
hang on, there we go. Perfect, got it. For Nintendo Switch, as after we're using the cameras off. Come on, there we go, and camera off.
Yeah,
woo! Like I literally picked up the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 Pixel Remaster, which is amazing when you have to hold babies, because so many of those games you just press Y and it auto battles for you, and you can pretend you can do something else. You can pay attention to the kids and stuff. You get back to the game the next minute. It's perfect for being interrupted. So now that I have 1 through 6, I wanted 7 and 8 as well, because 8 is literally my favorite of the franchise because I'm a weirdo like that. And apparently it's only available in Europe. That said, it is not Andreas because there's no butter cookies.
Or maybe they were so expensive I couldn't afford the butter cookies.
Oh, well, then you have done Secret Santa wrong.
Oh, wow. That's true. Maybe it was. Oh, my goodness.
It's a compelling argument.
No, I gave him the idea last week of what he's going to do next year. He's going to send those stupid Swedish cookies.
So hang on. So I don't think it's a closed loop, right?
It's not.
That would be funny, wouldn't it?
That would be funny. That would be funny. What if it were? I'm going to go with the closed time loop thing. It is Final Fantasy VIII we're talking about. I don't know. It's a video game. I would normally say Justin, because he seems like the kind of guy who would buy the fellow dad the video game, the gamer guy. But I'll go with EG for the meme.
I got to be honest. I feel like people are guessing based on what the idea I just came up with for next year. Like, you made a list. So anybody could have gotten you.
It's true. I don't know.
Did you check
but I had history books on there too, to be fair.
Well, to be even fairer, no, I did not get you.
Okay. Then it's Justin.
It was me. Yeah.
Okay.
I was on it this year. I think I ordered it like within the week after the list went live, and it was supposed to get there by December 8th. So I'm glad everything worked out.
It worked out great. I got it a couple weeks ago. I did open it to make sure I have them. You can't see this, but I have them lined up. I have all my Switch games lined up in a row, so you can always see the red side of the box.
Nice.
It makes me feel accomplished to have a collection of something. Sure. Yeah, thank you, dude. It's perfect. Yeah. It's exactly what I was looking for.
I never played Final Fantasy. I had a bunch of friends, in elementary school, sorry to say, but that they all played and everything, but I didn't really like turn-based RPGs, so I kind of gave it all a miss, but I hope it's fun. And I get what you're saying about the whole like auto battle and then move on. I've been playing a card game Ascension on my phone again, and I'll do that with my turn, where it's like a couple of quick tactical things and then play all and go do something else for a minute, so it's kind of funny.
Right. But yeah, especially when I get the toddlers, so it's constant interruptions and daddy, look at this. And so I do, because I have to put down what I'm doing. It's so convenient when I'm putting it down, the TV's still going, but it doesn't matter because I won 5 minutes ago and it just keeps auto battling.
Nice.
The NES Final Fantasies are great for that kind of thing. You either won or lost based on your setup from the first, and then just a matter of seeing it play out. But these are little of my favorites. 7 is the classic, and 8 is the underdog. There's a lot to like about them, but I don't know if I want to go in that depth right now. I would say just ludonarrative consonants, if you want to be the YouTuber video essay guy. Where they the gameplay and the story matches very well and meshes very well. And anyway, a lot to love about it. Time loop, love story, very personal, better writing.
Yeah, is that how you met your wife? You in a time loop? So
if only. If I met my wife in a time loop, what would that even look like?
You're not at the end yet. You haven't looped yet. So how would you know?
Oh, I know.
Oh, that I don't know if I would want to loop that it goes like a whole lifetime and then starts over again. That sounds like a pain in the ass.
It's called New Game Plus, and it's all the rage with the kids these days. So,
you know what? Kids these days have made a lot of bad life choices that we all have to suffer through now.
To be fair, most kids' video games about time loops have that kind of premise. I wish I could do my life over, man.
Right.
They always got nostalgic about Life is Strange, even Chrono Trigger. It's always that.
Yeah, but they usually mean like a redo to do it once, not to keep doing it forever.
It's true.
Like they want to go back and fix their mistakes or make it so that they could change that one thing they never got to do. And
that's true.
And then they play out their ultimate life, and then they go on to quit game mode. They don't re-up from their last save state.
Actually, I real life had a story like that with a gal that I dated, that I was her guardian angel from the future, because she had this story of herself as a child at a mall or something like that, but she got her shoelaces stuck in an escalator. Generally turns out bad, right? At least that's what everybody would assume and everything like that. But some mysterious stranger just swooped in with a pair of scissors, clipped her shoelace, and just kept walking. And it's like, what? And I don't remember the full story now, how we decided that was me from the future. A little more awkward now that we've broken up. But if I get access to a time machine, I will have.
You'll still go save her. You don't.
You don't hate bound to it.
Right. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. So, the awkward part is not that you went from the future to save her. The awkward part is, why the hell were you just randomly carrying around scissors in a mall?
Because I was on a mission, obviously. Like, I had the right tool for the job. I didn't just happen to be an old guy that just happened to run into, like my 8-year-old girlfriend, or whatever. It was, like I was there to save her. Like, so.
I was going to say, based on the topics that we had for Full Metal Alchemist, does this count as grooming?
Yeah. See, that's why this shit gets weird, right? So the fact that I didn't otherwise interact with her or talk to her, I think makes it pretty safe. Okay. So,
and scissors are used as a grooming tool for hair.
Right?
Like it's got
I literally
layers.
groomed her because I gave her a haircut afterwards. Jeez.
Flaky pastry layers.
Oh, you guys. This is not my first time being canceled.
So how long ago was she your girlfriend?
Before my wife. So yeah, it's
been about 10 years,
14-ish years.
He's been with Amber for a while, so it has to be a while.
Yeah.
Hang on. So 14 years ago, you had an 8-year-old girlfriend.
Yep.
No, come on.
That's what. Come on, dude.
Like I know those are the literal words that. Yeah. So my then.
Yes, sir. This office man right here.
So, yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny too because like since we're on the subject and I'm not uncomfortable enough already, but it's like, I don't know if you ever with your significant other, like go revisit their entire life at some point and be like, when I was here doing this, where were you and how old were you and whatever.
No, I have made that mistake, sir. I have made that mistake. Okay.
Yeah. So for my current wife, it worked out because, it turned out that our lives were oddly paralleled, in some ways and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like you wind up in weird places thinking about like what your significant other was doing when they were 11 or something like that. And, and just, I don't know, it gets weird at some point. You cross
running around a mall with scissors, just cutting random kids' shoelaces.
I know, right? What if I'm actually the villain of this story? It's like,
I was going to say, yeah, you actually caused the downfall of like 16 other kids on the way to get to the right one.
Right.
Who did trip into the escalator?
Yeah.
No, wood chipper. Much worse.
Oof. No, I guess in my case, when I was thinking of that kind of exercise, I was always like, yeah, if I had met you when you were 20, 21, you would not have been interested because I was a mess.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of the opposite tack. It's not really like the feel-good story of the millennium. It's kind of like the, wow. I really love that.
We have it directed back.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, my current wife and I could say the same thing about each other in like in certain ways. I think if you go back far enough, like as kids, then that'd be one thing. But then there was a whole bunch of like figuring yourself out as an adult part that happened, sure. Right? That it was like, yeah, if we had met any earlier than this, it may not have worked, So,
but I would never have this issue because I was pretty sure of who I was at around 7.
Oh, were you?
Me. What you see before you, but with like a higher voice.
Nice.
He was fully formed at age 7. That's when he stuffed them.
You were not a baby. You were just a smaller, tiny adult
with the mustache and everything.
Still with the still.
No,
with
that was also the one thing that took some time to
neck.
come in. The facial hair required some further
gestation.
Yeah, that's the word. So.
Never seen you at a loss for words. That's a first.
Well, I was about to say gesticulation 3 times, and I was like, that's not the one. But it refused to come out the correct way, and so I had to stop it.
Nice.
Justin, did you have...
So, speaking of closed loops, pretty sure this one's mine. My blur is going to get in, but what you can't see is that it is 10 individual distinct kinds of figures, but 4 at a time. So of course I picked out the Mimic one, very classic, chest and everything. But yeah, I found this and added it to my list. And the reason why it's open already is because, like many things, it got delivered to my house with just my name on it. And all of the packages my wife orders come the same way. And so she saw it come through and was like, oh, of course I got that off of your list, wrapped it and put it under the Christmas tree. And so later that day or the next day, and I was like, just wanted to clarify, like, did we have a package come in that was a little weird that might have been podcast related, because maybe it said Dresden, that's happened in the past or something along those lines. And then she's like, no, I don't think so, but let me go look at my orders. And so she goes through her orders. She's like, yeah, I don't see it on our list. So that must be it. So we're pretty sure this is what my Secret Santa got. And I think because we are doing closed loop thing, that means I had it now. My brain apparently I left on the shelf. So it's not the director. It's not Ben. I think it was EG, right? So,
which the package should have said Santa on it as well.
Ah, well, there you go.
It should have said Justin parentheses Santa or care of Santa.
We did have a closed loop by accident with Andreas left out in the rain.
No! I
got nothing.
Yeah.
Poor Andreas.
That's never happened before.
The poor Euro trash got nothing.
Huh.
Oh, geez.
It is Secret Santa. Come on.
Listen, I told him last week I was going to send him something, but his country refused to allow it. I didn't even have him. I was just going to send him because I found this case of Swedish ginger snap cookies.
Nice. Well, it's the thought that counts, right? So
it wouldn't send it. It is like, no, we can't ship it to Herken, Firken, Durkin, Shurken.
Yeah.
That's when you use the American Amazon. Then, yeah.
Was that the province or?
I don't know. It's all one big thing.
Oh, yeah. I live in
He has his, like, it's, 20-something Durkashirka, and you can't even tell until you get to Norway what the country is.
There is only one letter that you do not have. Which is A, which is an A and an E. If you ever want to spell out and that letter, it's A.
I don't want to ever deal with this
again. Andreas, you should know. We actually do have that letter. It's for old timey stuff.
Okay.
Old timey stuff.
Oh yeah, back when people were named like Ethelfled.
Exactly, Ethelfled. How do you know about Ethelfled?
Because I watched the Last Kingdom, or was it the Last Kingdom? Yeah, the Last Kingdom. I think on Netflix. The one with Uhtred.
Yeah, I watched the first season. That is pretty good.
I mean, I wouldn't call it good, but I was amused by it, so I just kept watching it.
First season was good. Then
then you get names like Ethelfled, and then you just like, how was that spelled? And it's AE put together.
Yeah, I guess we blame Jacob and or J-Ray for my lack of participating for the first time.
You know what?
Not here
you should specifically blame both of them.
Which makes it more fun to blame them. So yeah.
That's a risk when I don't show up to a business meeting or something like at my job and or anyone else because like, hey, he's not here to defend himself. I'm going to give him all the work to report back next week.
That's how corporate works. So,
yeah.
Yeah. We also try that with people who join the meeting first, stuff like that, or last. Really, it doesn't matter. Any excuse.
You just joined and somebody else is mid-sentence, and that's why Steve gets all the work.
Yes, that has happened all the time.
Now, when it comes to meetings that could have been emails, I assume the person who set up the meeting then gets blamed and has to do all the work?
That would be nice. Maybe I should try and work that into the culture, but unfortunately, I think that means my bosses, and that's not really going to work very well. So,
not if you're not, clever about it.
Sure. Yeah. The other thing, it's like because remote work, we can't like hijack somebody's unlocked computer to send out an email that says like, hey, it's my birthday, so I'm going to order everybody donuts or pizza or whatever, because I've seen that happen in the past too. So
that's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. It's wonderful.
Can you just like DoorDash 12 individual donuts to?
You can these days. Back in the day, we didn't have DoorDash, so you could not.
No, then you just had to be friends with the donut delivery guy, who didn't exist because there's no such thing as a donut delivery guy.
There's probably a narrow window where that was a thing.
So. Oh yeah, back in the movies that Ben watches, absolutely.
Right, and you could buy a dozen donuts for a nickel. So
and it would be hand delivered.
I say
after the milkman came, so you knew you had something to wash it down with.
Exactly. Yeah. No, one of the main office pranks that I did along those lines was we screenshotted somebody's background, and then I think we even got it with the like unlock, to do your username and password and whatever, and then set that as the background, and then moved that unlock dialogue. You could move that all the way off the screen. But handily tested it out, and if you hit Control-Alt-Delete, it would just pop back up again. But until you did that, nothing would work. And so if you were one of those people that would click into the fields, you'd be like, oh my God, my computer's not working, and stuff like that. So that took a good couple minutes for them to figure out. And it's like, dude, if you just Control-Alt-Delete like a normal person, it would have been fine. But yeah, so
that is.
Or you could take the computer and throw it across the room, and it would also be fine. Eventually.
Sure. I got one of them stories too, but yeah, they did it to a computer engineer of some sort, and they took a background of a blue screen of death, and they set that as his screensaver, so that anytime that he got up to walk away from his computer, blue screen of death. And he was the kind of guy that would immediately shut off the machine, tear it open, and start digging around to see what was going on, because he had been working on computers that long. And yeah, like I think he was on the verge of like replacing components and stuff like that before they were like, bro, just it's a screensaver, like just move the mouse and it would have been fine. So
I've got a corporate prank for you that you might appreciate. This is what my dad did. Apparently, it was to the very particular middle manager kind of boss who was so inconsiderate because he was a new middle manager, right? And he had a very nice car. He'd park across 2 spaces,
right,
every time, right? In a crowded parking lot, always park across 2 spaces, not even reserved. And so he just wrote on a Post-it, "Sorry about the damage to your car," and stuck it on the door of the car and just walked away. And then when he went to leave early on Friday, everyone was in the window watching him see the note, panic, and go try running around the car looking for the scratch or whatever. So that's one for the back pocket if you ever get one of those.
But
that's awesome.
The really important question is, did he stop parking across 2 spaces?
I don't know. That was not part of the story.
Because after that, then you get him towed.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Well, okay.
He didn't get visited by 4 ghosts, so probably not. So
5 in the Muppets version, right?
Yeah. Right.
But the ghosts of Honda, Mazda, and Hyundai past.
Those sound like Street Fighter characters.
I'm sure at least half of them are. Which half I leave up to you.
Honda, I'm pretty sure it is, right?
It's probably a popular
Honda name.
But
I could believe that. I don't know anything about Street Fighter.
I should have said Nissan.
Hondo is a Street Fighter character. Yeah.
See?
Hold it.
I'm glad we solved that mystery. Also, I watched him up at Christmas Carol again on Christmas because I was given the remote.
I had the power of the remote.
Because it's obligatory. So yeah.
Well, they were watching the Santa Claus movies, and I don't even just mean the first one, which was still a solid movie. I mean like the second crappy one and the third. Why did you make this one?
Right.
And I was insistent that after this we have to watch something good.
Right. I think this year, so we watched Elf, and then the kids watched like the new Grinch that came out a few years ago, the animated one with Benedict Cumberbatch in it. But when we watched Elf this time, I kind of had the epiphany that I was like, actually, Elf is part of the Santa Claus trilogy, because this Santa Claus is old and busted and wants to get out of the job, right? And he's like 5 days from retirement, or 5 Christmases, however you want to count it. And then in the Santa Claus, he gets accidentally bumped off right into his retirement and whatever. So I was like, yeah, that's going to be my headcanon going forward now, that they're all in the same universe.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah.
Especially, same kind of corporate type, the dad that James Caan is playing and the character that Tim Allen's playing, married to their work and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're not, I don't know, they're not terrible, as far as movies go, but yeah, I would have rather watched like one of the good Christmas carols or the Jim Carrey Grinch. That one's one of my favorites. So.
I was gonna say, the Jim Carrey Grinch is the only one I watch. I never really cared for the old cartoon, and I didn't even bother with the newer animated one.
I love the old cartoon too, though, because to me that's the story, right? I grew up with that one, but
to me the story is always just the song, because that was all.
Sure.
But there's a version of the song where they like play just the part of the movie where he is stealing Christmas in it between lyrics, I guess. And I guess that makes it then a 20-minute song, quote unquote. And it's like, wait a minute, are they just playing the movie on the radio? What happened?
That's funny.
But I mean, they used to do that in ye olden times.
Radio plays and all that.
Well, I mean, that's what Ben watched before he could watch things, was radio serials.
Sure.
That's what they pumped in through his baby
series.
monitor was radio serials of the old like detective stories.
Oh dang!
Yeah. Say, did you catch the old radio serial last night? Eh?
You know that would be badass. Like,
I forgot to drink your
back in the day, Superman took down the KKK. That's all I'm saying. Old radio plays are the best. Okay.
I mean, listen.
War of the Worlds, Panic to Generation.
I was going to say
War of the Worlds, Panic to Generation, sir.
When did they start you on War of the Worlds? That was when
I was going to say. Well, what I was going to say is that
I totally listened to that as a kid. Actually,
the gullibility of my fellow man is not going to win you points with me. That to me is all on them.
Yeah. I should do that actually. My kids might be the right age and gullibility to fall for that. So I hit the oldest when we moved into this place. We'd live across the street from a Catholic church, and they'll ring their bells all the time for any reason. And the first time it kicks off, they were like, "Oh my God, what's that?" And it's like, "Oh, that's weird. What day is it? It's a little early for a vampire invasion." It's like broad freaking daylight outside. Like, no logic circuits at all in these kids sometimes. And, they're like, what? I'm like, dudes, it's going to be fine. I'm prepared for this, but yeah, I wonder if I just like turn on War of the Worlds, right? I'll turn on War of the Worlds and just like leave it running one morning when they wake up and see, if they even notice or, go with it and be like, hey, did you guys hear the news? What's going on?
Yeah, if you can find a way to like make your kitchen look like it's in the 1940s while you do, like they just wake up and they're suddenly in a throwback.
It's not as hard as you'd imagine. So you just have
Pinterest
your wife barefoot in the kitchen and making breakfast, and that's like half of it right there. So
what was that movie where they go into the TV and they just change it?
Pleasantville.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Just make it like that. But then you have to paint yourself black and white, obviously.
You have to paint everything black and white.
Yeah. I've already been canceled once, so I'm going to say that's a bad idea. But, So.
And then have Baby It's Cold Outside playing on the radio to really get
right. Apparently. Jeez. Can't like really anything these days. War on Christmas, et cetera, et cetera.
War of the Worlds on Christmas.
Ooh. Now we're talking. Like they had Violent Night. That's what we need. Like
Black Christmas.
The War of the Worlds on Christmas.
Die Hard. Lots of violent things happen on Christmas.
Well, no, I'm not just talking like general violent stuff. Because yes, there's been a bunch of. I'm trying to remember. There's another one that it's like this is a Christmas movie because like it starts out, like all Christmas. I mean, obviously you got the Home Alones and stuff like that too, right? But I mean, just the idea that like Santa Claus is going to kick ass, right? It's like you're under siege, but Santa Claus, So,
are you talking about Red One, the hit new movie from Netflix?
I haven't seen that one. I was talking about Violent Night with David Harbour.
Yeah, that movie could have been a lot. Like it was fine, but it could have.
I need to watch that one actually.
Sure.
I was gonna watch it this year. Didn't do it yet. Is it? It's worth the whatever hour and a half.
It's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, there are worse things for sure.
I'm kind of hoping it turns out to be like the Expendables, where they make a sequel and the second one's just a lot better.
Sure.
You know what? Action movies, the disposable action movies are actually pretty good. Since you mentioned the second one a lot better. Red and Red 2.
I like Red. Red 2 was unnecessary to me.
They're both unnecessary, but they're great.
Well, no. First of all, the first one is unnecessary in a charming way, in the sense that, like, well, if you're gonna make this movie, you might as well make it as good as that.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
That was an enjoyable movie. The second Red was like, oh, you're just doing this because the first one was popular,
and I'm fine with that. That's one franchise that died too soon, just because poor old Bruce Willis is.
I was like, because
health issues.
You don't have a lot of longevity with the cast that's already geriatric, and you're making a movie about that fact, right? So it's called Retired and Extremely Dangerous, not,
Well, that's what half of the Expendables is too. It's like
not young whippersnap and kind of dangerous,
right? Yeah.
All these aged action stars in the Expendables. That's the other slight, But except Red was.
They have a pretty wide. They have a pretty wide age range in the Expendables, though.
right?
Well, they do sort of, but Stallone and Lundgren and Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis, they're all of an age of the same.
At the time, though, yeah, they were like middle age, though. Like, they were, 40s, 50s, maybe 60s. Like, I think the oldest one in those movies was Chuck Norris, right? And we all know the story there. So
and even now, like, I don't know when the last one they did one, but they have Jade Lee and Statham. They're middle.
Well, the last one they did was last year, or 2 years.
Are they
ago?
still making them?
Yeah, they made Expendables, and it was terrible.
Wow. I don't think I've seen more than 3, if I've even seen the third one. So, like, I saw up to
the third one wasn't
Chuck
good
Norris
either.
For sure, and then I was like, you kind of know what you're going to get, and that's fine, but I need just a little bit more than 6 dudes standing around shooting high-powered weapons the entire time. So, but like the first one was funny, right? Like there were good moments in it. It's like, you need to pay me more because I work harder. I'm half your size, so I gotta work harder. But stuff like that. So, but anyway. Do we got to talk about next year?
Well, we could just talk about what people are doing for New Year's. I thought we weren't doing any business stuff today.
No, I meant I wasn't talking business. I was like, what's everybody's New Year's resolutions? And
Oh, I'm going to make so much more money and leave you people in the dust.
Oh, good. Please.
I'm gonna think about doing things to progress my life, then not do it and still be here and not leave you guys in the dust.
Oh.
You don't have to just state the obvious. You can pretend.
Right. That actually broke my heart. The EG thing didn't break my heart. Your thing broke my heart. So I want better for you, Andreas. So
be what it be.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't win the lotto. Never mind. I'll still be here next year.
Right.
If you won the lottery, wouldn't you join us just for fun?
I'd still do my job just because I'd be bored. Like, not forever, but for a little while.
I take it back, right? So in the meme of things where it's like, I wouldn't tell you that I won the lottery, but there'd be signs. One of the signs would be that I would be in person guest starring in every episode with somebody, so it'd probably start with the director. It'd be the two of us in a room, and then we got Maze Hughes. I'm just going by like who's closest to me, right, and working outwards. And so by the time I got to Andreas, you guys would be like, wait a minute, something's up here, something's going on. So, but
I already got the mattress out for you to sleep over on.
Nice.
Whoa, where's that Swedish hospitality? You give him your bed and you sleep on the floor.
I'm surprised he doesn't have like a plastic wrapped pull out underneath his bed or something like that.
Well,
Isn't that what
from
IKEA
IKEA,
tells?
obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
From IKEA.
Right.
You know what? That could be the gift that Secret Santa sends him next year.
Yeah.
Because he needs it.
That would be another sign. If you just inexplicably start getting furniture, my arrival is imminent, apparently.
That means he bought the IKEA around the corner from you. You just have them ship you shit.
So now there was there was another one like in the last year or so that was like up around $1.5 billion or something ridiculous like that, one of the lotteries. And I was like, if I legitimately had $1 billion, like what would I do? And like I usually don't bother with these thought experiments because they're depressing to me, because it's like, oh man, I'd really like to live that life and I can't. And so I go fantasize about living in space instead, through The Expanse or Star Trek, Star Wars or whatever, right? But it was like I'd probably just like pick a direction and start walking. Like as weird as that is, it'd be like, let's go see what problems I can solve that way, or something like that.
Oh, see, I thought you were going the Forrest Gump running across the country route just for that.
No, I'm not in shape for that. So, but
he wasn't either, but he did it.
Yeah. I always fancied myself like an explorer. And so like, I straight up told the wife is like, if we inexplicably win this money, like, don't take this the wrong way, but you're probably not going to see me at home a lot, so not usually something your spouse wants to hear, but it's like, I'm thinking like, soup kitchens and shit that it's like, I don't have time for normally. And then obviously like, you got to think about it too. Like if you're legitimately doing stuff like that, you got to fall into the trap. It's like, there's still only so much one dude can do. Right. So you got to fund those organizations and if you want to actually, do all the good and whatnot.
Well, and you can't gain notoriety for it. Wasn't that a comic
exactly.
that like Superman walks across America and he just causes more problems because he's fucking Superman walking across America?
Yeah, no respecter of traffic laws, that guy, because cars just bounce.
No, it was like I think the premise was he's just trying to get back in touch with the little people, quote unquote, getting down to helping people on a smaller level rather than punching robots in the face that are trying to blow up the world. And right. like it sounds good, but because he's Superman, all this gathers a lot of attention, both negative and oppressively positive.
Sure.
So I never actually read the run except for like one panel where he's like saves a kid from domestic abuse type deal, but
gotcha.
So you'd have to avoid that.
Sure,
pitfall.
Sure.
So don't wear your Superman shirt.
No, yeah, and I mean that's definitely a thing, because it's like, how do you do this without getting the notoriety, right? Because if you're gonna do stuff like that, because the smart thing to do is you get your money and you go buy like 100 acres somewhere and you build a little cabin in the middle of that next to a lake, and you don't talk to anybody ever again. That's the smart thing to do. So. But then people are like, oh, but my aunt was nice to me and my brother, and then my mom, obviously. And, and then they're broke again, and, their family's still asking for more money. So
that's when you build 4 cabins on the corner edges of the property and you charge rent.
Right. Yeah.
So you give them a house, quote unquote, for a nominal fee, but they're still paying you.
I thought you were going to a different area where it was like, these are all honeypots, and like, they're all different kinds of traps or something. So
well, you are in your
you're
mimic
still
phase,
thinking about mimics.
Yeah, I was going to say you're in your mimic era right now.
Yeah,
as the kids would say.
Yeah, I got 2 weeks to come up with more for the next session and stuff. We're like in the middle of a thing, so it's like I got a chunk of it, but I have a tough time with coming up with these little human touches, like, people masquerading or campaigning for elemental rights, so I got to find a character interested in that.
Well, now you got to find a mimic who does that and make them really
right. Yeah. Well,
like the mimic has mimicked the elemental hippie who's looking to get their rights and just going through the motions as a plant.
Yeah, it is fun because I did sever one of their loose ends by making that person a mimic, because the little shits, we had a session where I was
doing their team name or your nickname for them?
No, I'm calling them little shits right now. Okay. So understand my energy, but I was doing a murder mystery, but the murder mystery was one of the party had done it because doppelganger. And so they were trying to find the doppelganger, and they're like, well, clearly our guy didn't do it because he was with us the whole time, regardless, right? But every good murder mystery needs a body. And so, I had somebody's friend come looking for them, and they go find this body. Well, it's a fucking high magic world. So they're like, how much is it to raise the dead? And it's like, are you fucking kidding me right now? So they pooled a bunch of their like otherwise small at the time pile of gold together to resurrect this character who was just a clue that now I've got to come up with a story and I've got to flesh her out because they gave a shit and whatever. And
they always give a shit about the things you don't expect them to give a shit about.
Yeah, it's unreal.
The little shits.
Sometimes I'll plan for that and just be like, I know that if I put this in here, that it's going to be a thing, right? But this one caught me by surprise. So I tied that up because basically they failed to figure out that their boss got replaced way early in the sessions and everything like that, trying to do some foreshadowing. And of course, some trusted ally always has to be, replaced and whatever. And so he's been running around HQ as a mimic for a long time, and he got a hold of this loose end. And so she shows up to greet them at this event, and it's like, oh, hey, how are we doing and whatever. And one of my guys who's the PTSD character, he's also somehow figured out my entire campaign, and so his character practically has the sunglasses from they or whatever, and he can see who are mimics, and she she shows up and it's like, guys, no, that's a problem. And she realizes that he knows, and so she disappears, and now it's like, oh wait, shit, where'd she go and everything. But yeah, so I don't know. fun little tidbits. So,
well, we made it.
Yep.
Merry Christmas.
Almost everybody got a present.
Aw.
All the important people got a present.
You drinking your wine there, big guy?
Yeah, you know. Cheers. Yep.
Yeah.
He's drinking his Kokenschlag.
It's actually just it's soda. But...
Yeah, Kokenschlag.
It's Kokenschlagen.
It's such a beautiful language.
The thing is, you don't know if I just made a funny word up or if I said a word.
No, I know what you did. You said a word. You said a word in a dialect that no one should have to speak, but here we are.
Wait, was that really a word? Or am I just gullible? I think I'm just gullible.
That was not a word. That was just...
Oh, quick, somebody find him a radio serial and put it on in the background.
This man is in charge of children, so...
Right.
No.
I don't know.
His wife is in charge of the children.
Well, he's a teacher.
But
yeah.
No, he is in charge of teaching public school.
Yeah, but it's public school in California. They're all the way over there. No one cares.
Yeah.
The real question is this something I'm making up or is this a sentence? Jeg kan godt lide kage.
It's also a sentence.
It's real.
That was real, yeah.
I know it was real. I speak you.
What did it mean, though?
I believe it translates to "fuck you guys, I'm going home." So.
No, it translates to "thank you for joining us on the Dresden Files podcast, where you get to watch some of us get gifts and some of us cry about not getting gifts."
You can support us on patreon.com/brokenjars, and you can join our Discord server by doing so. You can get to have gift wars with us. You can argue with us. You can send me presents because I don't get any.
I was gonna say this is how you fund Andreas not getting presents.
Yep, and you can find out what that sentence meant.
Nobody's gonna find out what that sentence meant because you're gonna go to bed now.
No, I'm not yet.
Yeah, other Andreas.
Other Andreas can sell me out maybe. I don't know, and just say it for free in the chat.
He could, but since it's just you.
No, it's just me pretending there.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yep.